Hey chatters. In this video, I want to walk you through what are the common AI use cases to be used in businesses so you can really focus on those opportunities where AI or especially generative AI is going to help you in whatever you're trying to do. When we're thinking through common AI use cases, I have found that they fall into about five different buckets: strategy, synthesis, coding, communication, and content creation. So let's go through these one by one so I can provide some examples for where generative AI would be a good fit for you. First up is related to strategy. Generative AI tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini are really good thought partners in helping you to take the incoherence of whatever you're thinking for a strategy, getting it down, and then using best practices and frameworks that you might not even know about to help organize that information and put it into a format that can not only be better understood by you, but help you to actually communicate and deliver those ideas to others to help create that strategy. A lot of these tools have web search and a deep research functionality. So, a really good place to get started in terms of that strategy is doing some market research and analysis related to whatever your product and service is to get that report back to help you make decisions. You can then obviously roll that up into the next phase of what you're trying to do. So, we can take that research and analysis, and then we have a prompt maybe that helps you translate, okay, what are we seeing in our niche, in our field, in our industry? What are we doing currently as a business? And how do we marry those two for greater success? If you're an entrepreneur or you're just getting started, another great use case is using it to help you develop that business plan. You can leverage that market research you did, feed it into a prompt that's going to walk you step by step through developing that business plan, even if you've never created a business plan before. Another great use case is coming up with customer personas using AI. You can feed it your market research report, your business plan, or whatever information you have it output these really nicely detailed customer personas that are going to help you nicheify and target your marketing moving forward so you can really align with who are you trying to reach to market your services or your products. Another use case, very common, are SWOT analyses: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. If you're looking to think through, okay, I need to make something different with my business, I need to update things, I'm not really understanding why things aren't working, having it help you go through a SWOT analysis is a great way to get down on digital paper what are those strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that are happening right now in relation to your business. All of this comes back to what other research are you doing using this tool to inform that strategy? And then a last couple just around marketing and sales. You probably noticed a theme in terms of marketing here. Creating campaigns, both the strategy for your campaign and then eventually we'll talk about later the content for that campaign. This is something, if you've never done it before, AI is a perfect partner in this because it's been trained on the internet of all these examples of successful and unsuccessful campaigns and can really help you guide through that process, as well as your sales strategy. So you have your marketing, you're getting an awareness, getting people moving through the funnel. It can really help you develop all those customer journey points of how are you getting people from, okay, I click on something, maybe I give you my email, maybe I'm doing cold calls, whatever it is. And then what is our strategy after that to better sell our services and products? Our next bucket is synthesis. This is a very broad category, but the idea, and similar to what I said with strategy, is you can give AI this mess of stuff and it's really good at summarizing and organizing things. So, for example, if you have a ton of customer feedback, that would take you so long to go through because it's all qualitative data that would have to have a human think about the patterns, read everything, organize it all, categorize it. Instead, you can just feed AI a spreadsheet or all of that qualitative data with some prompt that helps to organize it with the context of your business and what you're looking for. And it can just run that analysis and at least get you 80% of the way there. So you have something to work off of and really help to understand all of the feedback you're getting rather than it just sitting there collecting digital dust. Document summarization is also a huge one here, as well as meeting notes. So, for example, if you record your meeting, You might have a prompt that helps to organize those meeting notes into the topics discussed, what was the action items that you need to follow up on, some key points, whatever it might be. But can also be these huge documents that you just don't have time to read. You just need that top level executive summary. And then based on that, you can go and look deeper into what you're interested in. Or if you've just uploaded that document to AI, you just ask it, what does it say about this? What does it say about that? And it can get you that answer a lot quicker than you having to read the whole thing. Another big one is data analysis. Pretty much all of the major models right now have some sort of data analysis feature where it actually is running code to do analyses like correlations or regressions or whatever you can think of. You can just hand this thing a spreadsheet and say, hey, I want you to filter by this, or hey, I want you to run this analysis, or hey, if we manipulate the data this way, what does it look like? And many of them also allow you to just easily create a chart based on that data. This is a huge one if you have no data analysis experience. It's been trained on all this information from the web of all of these different techniques. You can just ask it, what are the best techniques when I'm trying to look for these answers in a data that is formatted like this? It'll come up with that answer. And then you can just say, hey, run that analysis, give me a chart, whatever it might be, which you can then share with your stakeholders. And then, of course, there's metadata tagging. It's really good, not just at summarizing documents, but stamping it with information that makes it easier to read both for AI and humans, as well as filter and organize. So, literally, things like tags for tagging a document is really important for finding that document and searching it for it on the back end to find that content and use it. Maybe you're thinking about things like in the customer feedback analysis, hey, can we do some sentiment analysis? And so it's really good at taking that little bit of information from your customer feedback, for example, and then tagging it with positive, neutral, negative, and then you can analyze that data however you want. Coding is probably not going to be super relevant to a lot of you unless you really want to get into the coding space. But there are some examples of things that you can do without really having a lot of coding experience. But for those things where if you want to get into coding, some of the best things to do are redesigning your website, especially if you're not using things like WordPress or Squarespace or whatever, where you actually had someone design your website. It makes it a lot easier to make changes on your own without really having that much coding experience. Manipulating databases is another huge one. The technology now, especially with these things called connectors, will allow you to actually hook up to a database and not knowing any SQL at all. You can just say, hey, what does this table say? Or, hey, can you add this information to the database just through natural language? And it is actually able to run those functions for you, even when you have no idea how to do that coding language. Obviously, you got to be careful. It could delete things you didn't want. So always be backing stuff up and know what you're doing and double checking. But it's pretty incredible what you can do. The two that are probably most relevant to you, especially if you're in the Google ecosystem, are automation scripts and spreadsheet formulas. Google is really good with what are called app scripts, where you can just do these little chunks of code that can do pretty much whatever you want and make little extensions or micro apps right inside of a Google spreadsheet. For example, you could ask it to create you an automation script that will look at a variety of cells. Maybe it's information that you've downloaded from your CRM about your potential clients or your cold calls or whatever. And then you can say, okay, read all this information in all of these cells and then output a personalized email in the final cell based on all of that information using a call to a large language model API. But it could also just be as simple as if you're not really good at spreadsheet formulas, you can work with it and go back and forth to help you develop the formula to do exactly what you need it to do when you need to do it. Again, even if you've never written a formula before or you only have a very simple understanding. So really those are the two that you're going to want to get into if you don't want to go deep into the coding route, is creating these app scripts right in Google or helping to create formulas right in spreadsheets to help you run significant analyses that you never would have been able to run before. Probably the most obvious way to use generative AI is communication. Before we do that, I just want to take a couple seconds to tell you a little bit about Synaptic Labs' AI readiness assessment. So Let's talk about that for a minute. Is your business ready for the AI wave? Find out in just 3 to 5 minutes with Synaptic Labs' AI Readiness Assessment. Our quick questionnaire analyzes your current AI capabilities and delivers a personalized roadmap for integration success. Plus, complete the assessment and receive a coupon for any of our premium AI-enhanced workflows, absolutely free. Don't get left behind. Discover your AI readiness today at ai-readiness.synapticlabs.ai. This could be things like customer service bots, although obviously you got to be a little bit careful with those. They could hallucinate or say things you don't want them to say. But more likely, you're going to be using it for things like writing internal memos to the people who work for your company or emails or whatever it is. Or if you have to apply for requests for proposals or write proposals to people to sell your services, these are perfect use cases. To some extent, that is similar to the synthesis, but there's nothing stopping you, right, from taking the transcript of a potential sales call, and then you need to follow up with some sort of proposal. So you have some prompt that organizes that proposal the way you want it. You feed it that transcript, and it will pop out, that really well formatted proposal the way you want it. And then one fun one I'll just talk about is the anger converter. I'm sure a lot of you have been frustrated by your coworkers or by customers. And so you write out this email that is just steaming below the surface, which is not what you necessarily want to communicate. So it's the perfect way to take that steamy email you wrote and just have it rework it so that it is more constructive and more personalized and not so angry so that you're not creating more problems for yourself. Last but certainly not least is content creation. So these are things like creating your social media posts, blog articles, email marketing, product descriptions, and then creating image, video, and audio to help whatever the marketing you're trying to do or content creation you're trying to do. Now, this can be a little finicky, right? Especially if you don't really know how to prompt. It's going to be difficult to get it to talk in your voice, write blog articles, the length that you desire, in the format you desire. Email marketing could come off as too AI generated. So you really got to focus on that prompt, the context related to what you're developing and how you want things structured, your voice and all of that. But this is probably one of the most common things, communication, content creation, is you need to develop some content quickly. You have an idea and you'll give that idea in the research and it'll output it in whatever format you want. Before we wrap up, I want to direct you to the Synaptic Labs prompt library, where if you come here and scroll down to the use case generator, we can click on that and you can copy this prompt, fill in your context, which you can do either by writing yourself or using our context engineer. And this will actually output for you a full report around potential use cases that you can have with this technology based on whatever your industry or niche is, as well as some of those risks that you really need to think about when you're developing these use cases. So I would highly recommend coming to our prompt library. I will also have a link in the description for this prompt. Fill out the context, use it in your provider of choice, and it will output a really nice report for you around what are the specific use cases that are going to be most useful to you. To finish up, the major buckets here for our common AI use cases are strategy, synthesis, coding, communication, and content creation. Definitely leave in the comments any use cases or other buckets you think are really helpful. We'd love to hear from you.